you doing? My name is Andrea. I'm a certified Take Shape for Life health coach. How are you? A friend of mine has a group on Facebook that supports Take Shape for Life and Medifast clients. It's not a group that's administrated by Take Shape for Life and Medifast. She does her own group. I'm not going to mention it because I didn't get her permission to do that or anything. And she does invite other coaches to help answer questions for people who are curious about the nutrition of the program, the frequency of the eating, what they are allowed to eat, what they're not allowed to eat, what kind of activities or exercises that they should be doing when they're on the program, how things feel. She also allows us to very passively offer ourselves to them. I don't feel comfortable doing that because that's her group. But I have noticed over the past couple of weeks that a lot of people in there, meaning non-coaches, are asking, why should I have a coach? Why should I go with Take Shape for Life? Why shouldn't I just order from Medifast? There's also a lot of people who message me on YouTube, because I do have a big YouTube channel. Big, whatever. They both message me privately and they'll comment on the videos and they'll say, well, I'm not using a coach right now, but how do I do this and how do I do that? And, oh, I'm doing this on my own, but how do I do this and how do I do that? And it's kind of like, well, if you aren't using a coach, then obviously you don't need help. Really? Okay. Because they feel that they know the nutrition, they think they know the nutrition, they know how many Medifast meals they're supposed to eat, they know what the lean and green is supposed to be, and if they know all this, then what would they need a coach for? So this video is going to address that. This video pretty much is going to be a list of what you would get if you were my client. I'm not trying to get clients necessarily out of this video, but I do want this video to be an example of the different types of support that are available to you. It's very possible that you would not want to be one of my clients. Basically, I'm just going to be giving you a rundown of what it means to be a MetallicaMom client. So one of the first things that I try to stress to my clients, not necessarily with these words, is it's not about the food. Very little about being a MetallicaMom client has to do with the food, which is funny because 75% of my videos on YouTube are about food. But that's there. I don't need to do that again. I know that there's a lot of people who think that me and my team sit around and talk about the 5-in-1 or we talk about soft bakes all day long. We don't. In fact, I have a private Facebook group that we rarely talk about the actual food. It's about the challenges that come along with being overweight, going from being an overweight person to a non-overweight person, the journey along that path, how other people feel about our journey. So that is a private group. It's just for paying clients. And when I say paying clients, I don't want you to think that this is a capitalistic move on my part, but essentially I have had people tell me that they were going to switch to me and they don't. I have had people tell me that they're going to start the program and they don't. I have had people who took advantage of me for 2 or 3 weeks and then all of a sudden I see that they have gone to a different coach. It happens, and that's fine. People are allowed to change their minds. I don't hold a grudge at all. I do have a group on Facebook that is only for my paying clients, okay? I also have a private group on Facebook that's only for the coaches in my team, but that's another whole story. Okay. When you are starting the 5-in-1 program, basically the first thing that I would do as your coach is to help you train your body to eat at least 6 times a day. Almost equally spaced apart, as equally spaced apart as you can get it. 2.5 to 3 hours apart is perfect for some people. Some people really need it 2 hours apart. Once you go past 3 hours, we're talking about a blood sugar issue and we're talking about science, okay? I have to stress that eating every 3 hours is going to be something that you will probably always need to do if you want to both lose weight and maintain that weight loss. So the second thing that I try to help my clients learn, it's hard for me to say that I teach them. It's hard for me to say that I train them, but I convince them that they will need to eat this way probably forever. Not necessarily the Medifast food, not necessarily 100 calories at a pop, but every 2.5 to 3 hours. they will have to be conscious for the rest of their life on what they eat. And they will have to be conscious about when they eat. The third thing that I try to teach my clients to learn, is the difference between physical hunger and emotional hunger. Chances are, if you're physically hungry, it's time to eat. Very, very few times have I told clients that if their stomach is actually physically growling, they should ignore it. Yes, the first 2 or 3 days on the program, your stomach is about the size of a deflated football. So you need to shrink that thing down. And it does happen. You do physically shrink your stomach down. I have shrunk my stomach down. I could barely, if I wasn't even thinking about calories or fat or carbs or anything like that, I could probably just finish 1 slice of pizza at this point, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. But that's what needs to happen in order for you to be able to tell the difference between physical and emotional hunger. You need to take that physical yearn away. Once you take that physical yearn away, if you're still feeling hungry, that's emotional hunger. And that's what we have to deal with. I am not a therapist. I don't get paid to give people therapy. There's a lot of emotional stuff that happens with being overweight. There's a lot of emotional stuff that happens with weight loss. There's a lot of emotional stuff that happens when you get to goal. There's a lot of emotional stuff that happens when you want to maintain goal. This is a very emotional journey. It's a journey that never ends, unfortunately, but I'm here. Ironically, when people do their transition and their maintenance, they're buying less food from my website and I'm making less money. And that's when I spend more time with them. I do not give up on my clients once they hit goal. I don't say, okay, my job is done. My job is never going to be done. I haven't been doing this job for very long, but I haven't given up on anybody. So how do I do this? If I'm not giving therapy, if I'm not being someone's psychotherapist or social counselor, how do I help them with the non-technical stuff? It's very difficult for me to tell you what you will get as a protocol if you decide to become my client, because every single person is different. Everybody's weight loss journey is like a fingerprint. It's going to be different for everybody. Factors are how overweight you are when we start our relationship, how long you are overweight for, what your thinnest was as an adult, how long you were that thin, and how you stayed that thin for as long as you did, how you gained your weight, because baby weight is the easiest thing to gain. But if you've gained emotional weight, if you've gained weight other than from having a baby, if it's from an injury, if it's from a breakup, if it's from a tragedy, if it's from happiness, those are all factors as to how we will start your weight loss journey and the dynamic that you and I will have. Your eating habits are definitely a huge part of what we will work on. For some people, they don't need to be told what to eat. They need to be told how much and when. At my heaviest, I was still eating 2 or 3 salads a day. I loved vegetables. I didn't always load it down with a ton of dressing, but it was what I was eating on top of that. It was the amounts that I was eating. It was the amount of times that I was eating, okay? And it was also, the exercise. It was also how much did I exercise. Even when I was at my heavier phases, I was doing a lot of exercise. I was just filling all of those burned calories with more calories and incorrect calories. So for everybody, we would need to step back and take the whole picture into consideration. The first couple phone calls that I have with clients are long. They're over a half an hour long. I have had 1-hour conversations with people who ended up not being my client, but because it was the initial phone call, I needed to figure out if the support that they were asking for is something that I could give. They also needed to figure out if the support that I was willing to give to them is the support that they wanted. Some people think that they want the support, and then they hear about what my support will be, and they go kind of, that's a little too invasive. I understand that, and that's great. If you know that right off the bat, fabulous. Don't waste my time. That's perfect. I love it. There's also cultural challenges. I know that in the Latino community, the holidays are not Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It goes into January, you know? And I know that different holidays for different religious observances can definitely govern how much effort this journey is going to be for you. If I don't know about your culture, and I'm not familiar with the way food and eating habits will dictate how you celebrate different times of year and different holidays, I will ask you, or I'll do my own online research or something to that effect. I don't discriminate, but if I don't know about it, then you're gonna have to tell me about it, okay? So how am I there for my clients? The most important way and the most effective way that I have found is weekly telephone calls. These calls do not have to be an hour long. Sometimes they're 5 minutes long. I just got off the phone with a client that I've had for just about a year. We're gonna hit our 1-year anniversary. We were on the phone for about 15 minutes, 17 minutes, something like that. Usually the phone call is 5. She's having a little bit of a rough week. So we stayed on the phone a little bit longer. I schedule my phone calls in increments so that even if it only takes 2 or 3 minutes, I then have that time to either follow up with them with an email that I was talking about, or I can check my Facebook, or I can text another client. It's okay. If it runs over 15 minutes and I don't have anybody scheduled, then I'm just gonna stay on the phone with them as long as they need. If I need to get off the phone with them because I have another client, I will schedule another phone call, an additional phone call to the weekly phone call, or I'll say, you know what, think about what we already talked about, email me a little bit later today. That's all. Emailing is huge, texting is huge, Facebook messaging, I do all that stuff. I'm like a social media queen with this job. I do it all on social media. 90% of my clientele is on social media. They found me via social media, and so we have an internet relationship. I try to stay as close to my clients within the internet as I possibly can, as close as they want me to be, because some people are a little like, okay, that's my private life, I don't want you on there, and I respect that 100%. If somebody tells me that they're on plan, and I see that they're eating lasagna, I don't call them out on it. That's not my job. I don't feel that that's my job. You know that you ate the lasagna. I don't need to tell you. In fact, you told the whole world. You don't need to tell me, and I don't need to tell you. But if you call me up and you say, I don't know why I'm losing weight, I'm gonna say, well, what are you eating? Okay. By the way, I never make phone calls out of the blue. I do not surprise call people ever. Even if they ask me to call them, we will zero in on a time first and a day. And is it okay with you? And 15 minutes before the call time, I'll text them and say, are you going to be available in 15 minutes like we talked about? I don't do surprise calls. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in it at all. It's too much like telemarketing, and I don't do that. I don't sell anything. I really don't sell anything. I help my clients. So if they're avoiding what they have already agreed to, in other words, if we have the weekly phone call set up and then they consistently cancel, if we have a texting schedule set up and they don't answer my texts, if they say, I can't do the weekly phone calls anymore, let's just drop it down to an email every once in a while, chances are they're not wanting the support, not necessarily needing. They probably need the support even more than. Probably. It's very rare that people avoid me when they're doing good. Usually they avoid me when they're doing bad. And I think it's funny that when we do finally connect, they say, well, I wasn't calling you because I wasn't doing so great. And I want to say, no shit, Sherlock. But it's okay, because I've done the same thing with my coach. Sometimes you just need to take a step back. I respect that 100%. Just let me know. Say to me, you know what? I have so much stuff going on right now, I can't even think straight, let alone schedule a phone call with you. I just want to be in it for a couple of days. All right, go ahead, be in it. It's fine, I understand that. I have 2 kids, I have a job, I have a husband who's never home. I get it. Sometimes I don't want to talk about myself either. Sometimes it's a lot easier to talk about other people, which is what I'm doing right now, right? Yeah. So on top of all of that, I also do private videos for my clients. Not like that. I will do videos with no makeup on, in my kitchen. I did one, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I did one just about measuring vegetables. I will do videos about me driving in my car, about different challenges that I've had. I don't do them a whole hell of a lot. I should do them a little bit more because my clients really seem to appreciate it. I distribute those privately. my clients will either get a copy of that video with password protection on it, or I will post it to our private Facebook group. I also do Zoom calls, which is basically video conferencing calls. Before the summer, I was doing them every 2 weeks. I was actually doing a Zoom call every single week. 1 week with the clients, 1 week with my coaches. 1 week with my clients, one week with my coaches. I haven't been doing that since before the summer. I think I stopped doing it in July because it started to get very overwhelming. So I'm probably going to start doing it once a month for the clients, once a month for the coaches, 2 weeks in between. I have a public Facebook group too, and if you're watching this video on YouTube or on Facebook and you would like to be a member of that group's name is MMM. It's very easy. Just type MMM in the search bar and it'll probably come up. If not, you can just message me either on Facebook or on YouTube, or you can email me at TeamMetallicaMom@gmail.com. I'll send you a link. It is a Medifast-based group, but we don't just sit around and talk about the 5-in-1 all day. In fact, we very rarely talk about food. I try to make that group a little bit more about the humor of it. People are allowed to post funny, possibly insulting, definitely offensive memes, GIFs, whatever you want to call them. Funny little NSVs about shaving your bikini area, or what happened in bed last night, or that sort of thing. My sense of humor. If you're not in the Medifast community or the Take Shape for Life program, you're more than welcome to be in there. You might not understand every joke, that's all. All right, so basically that's what it is to be a client of mine. If you are interested in becoming a client, you're more than welcome to message me here, message me on Facebook. You can also follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Periscope. You can follow me on Instagram. All that stuff is listed below, you know that. So if you have any questions, if you're thinking about using a coach instead of just buying food off of the internet, if you wanted to talk to me about maybe why prepackaged foods or portion control meal replacements might be the best thing for you, I can definitely talk to you about all of that stuff. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.